in New York, in the bowels of Madison Square Garden. The Eagles on the board. Atlanta coming up after that. The linebackers are ready. The Eagles are on the clock, but they haven't waited that long.
With the 11th pick of the first round, the Philadelphia Eagles select tackle from Florida State, Trey Thomas.
Well, Trey Thomas, well, he's seen a couple of kitchen trays he's enjoyed. 349 pounds, 6'7". Big man.
No sacks allowed. You see that bench press of 500 pounds and that huge frame. Look how he just takes that defender to the ground. And a guy that really got better and better as his career moved along. This was his first season as a full-time starter. Remember, Walter Jones was getting all the press last year. This was Trey Thomas's season, and he was really a dominator. Huge kid. Really does a great job against the counter move because he has such a wide base and certainly can move defensive ends off the line of scrimmage. I asked Andre Wadsworth earlier this year, I said, who's the toughest defensive end, offensive tackle you ever played against as a pass rushing defensive end? He said, hey, wasn't anybody I ever played against. It was who I practiced against. It was Trey Thomas. He's so huge. He's got quick feet. Not as athletic as Walter Jones was, but he cannot counter move Trey Thomas. And Andre said, hey, in practice every day, we had some great battles, and he had the ultimate respect for Trey Thomas's ability.
You know, what is not new is that the Philadelphia Eagles in recent years have gone #1 pick on the offensive line. It began really when Richie Kotite was there. Davis, Lester Holmes, Bernard Williams, Barrett Brooks, Jermaine Mayberry. So this, now Trey Thomas, it's the 6th offensive lineman picked with their early picks in the first 2 rounds since '91.
You would think at this point they've got one heck of a great offensive line. I mean, when you take a look at the draft, you'd go, wow, look at those guys, all those number ones. They haven't had one be very productive at all. Maybe they can break the string of the bad luck they've had.
Let's go down for more on Trey Thomas to our Andrea Kramer in Jacksonville. Andrea.
Yes, as for Trey Thomas, there were reports, we started reporting over a week ago, that he had failed a drug test for marijuana last fall, which caused him to be suspended for the Maryland game. A team general manager and head security director, have confirmed to us that he actually failed 2 drug tests, and that's the reason that he was suspended for the Maryland game. We spoke to Florida State. They confirmed their drug policy as that. If there was a second failed drug test, that a player would be suspended for 1 game. I spoke to Trey Thomas's agent, Lamont Smith, this morning. He said that he was only aware of 1 failed drug test, that it was an insignificant amount, which did not cause any concern to teams. This was clearly a concern for the Philadelphia Eagles, and one reason for that is the history of picks that they've had. They've had some questions about drug use by running back Charlie Garner, Bernard Williams, the offensive lineman, questions about drug use with him. So it was heavily debated for the Philadelphia Eagles, but they went for the need, which was offensive line, and got the top-rated offensive lineman in the draft, Trey Thomas. Let's head back to Chris Berman in New York.
Okay, Andrea, thank you. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons. We expect them to take Keith Brooking, linebacker, Georgia Tech, which would be a heck of a player, plus help them sell some tickets down there. But right now, tickets to be sold in San Diego, I think they'll sell a few. With our Mike Tirico is Ryan Leaf and the owner of the Chargers, Alex Spanos. Michael?
Chris, some happy folks who are waiting to make the trip back to San Diego. Ryan, let me start with you. There are so many comparisons that have been and will be made with Peyton Manning. You guys will be inexorably linked. Has your friendship starting back around the Heisman Trophy Award, has it helped both of you come through the last 4 months?
I think so. I think that our relationship has just grown into something pretty neat. I'm really happy for him. I think that for him and his family, I've become real good close friends with them, and I think that our relationship will be linked for years and years to come, like Drew's and Rick's has, and same with Archie and I think Jim Plunkett.
Absolutely. Mr. Spanos, it has to be great for you to come to New York and take back with you the guy who you hope won't ever force you to go back to New York for the draft.
Let me say this, Mike, and I've said it earlier, and I've said it most all day. Ryan is going to be the man that's going to keep me out of New York for the next 15 years.
Well, he'll be glad to hear that, because he had to pick up the dinner tab for his entire family this week. Congratulations, both of you.
Thank you.
Chris?
All right, guys, thank you. Now, Ryan asked for a nickname. We're going to do that in a minute, but Atlanta wasted no time, and they're selling tickets already, right? We ready? The commissioner, I understand, has the card. He does not have the card. You see? Everything was smooth sailing. All right, well, we asked in the first issue of the magazine, Ryan asked me during the ESPYs, you know, I got to have a good nickname. I am Ryan Leaf. I mean, it's an easy name to have fun with. And we had some suggestions written in, like Leaf in the fast lane. Yep. Now we're going to the commissioner. Here's Atlanta's pick.
With the 12th pick in the first round, the Atlanta Falcons select linebacker from Georgia Tech, Keith Brooking.
Well, I'll tell you, Atlanta, we'll go back to that in a minute. Atlanta is ecstatic with that. Again, a hometown guy and a linebacker along with Tuggle in the middle that'll, you know, make their defense start to make some plays a little bit more than they have. Leaf in the fast lane, which of course is going to San Diego, and the Eagles sang the song. Quantum Leaf. That's pretty good. You gotta believe. That's real good. Rod Stewart, which was my suggestion, reason to believe. Comic relief, leafing on a jet plane, leaf and let die, leaf of his own, four-leaf clover, but the winner and the one I like the most, and we got it from several folks, Ryan Beyond Belief. He enjoyed the name too. He said that's a winner, so that's what he is on NFL Primetime. Ryan Beyond Belief. And of course, Brooking's another name I can have some fun with. The Babbler.
Great football player. I thought he was the 5th best player in this draft. You know, Atlanta Falcons team there at 12. Obviously, a neat area linebacker. And remember, Keith Brooking, he was always perceived to be a middle linebacker. He had played there most of his career. Outside linebacker this year here in the Senior Bowl with a sack. And you'll see him here against Thad Busby in Florida State. Sack again. You see the 4.48 speed, a 245-pound frame. Sideline to sideline defender. Great nose for the football. This kid comes to play every week. A guy with, I think, a Chris Spielman type tenacity with more physical ability. Here, 40 yards down the field, making the interception. Here on special teams in the Senior Bowl, making the play. So you're talking about a guy. I talked to Keith a couple months ago, Chris. He said, these individual workouts are wearing on me. I can't hit anybody. I tell you, he is definitely that Chris Spielman style of player with a little bit more physical ability mixed in. And I tell you, for the Atlanta Falcons, they got themselves one heck of a talent with Keith Brooking, with also the great attitude that Dan Reeves wants in his football players.
And they don't even have to pay for the moving van, really.
Well, the other thing is, too, is you got to remember that the defensive line of the Atlanta Falcons did a heck of a job last year in sacks. They put a lot of pressure on people. Now you add a young speed linebacker and allow them to be able to cover downfield a little bit better. You really make that defense even stronger. You keep a healthy Chris Chandler. Remember, they finished the season 6-2. You were talking about Arizona being one of those up-and-coming teams. I think Atlanta falls into that category, too.
They had a nice run at the end, and, you know, the Falcons, this will help sell some tickets, no question. Cincinnati is now on the board with the first of their 2 picks, and we think that'll be Takeo Spikes, inside linebacker, Auburn. That's pretty much gone right down the list, which is an upset almost. Bengals coming up next. Carolina to follow. We'll be back.
This ESPN News presentation of the 1998 NFL Draft is brought to you by Nintendo 64. Get in or get out. By Polaroid. See what develops. And by Janus No Load Mutual Funds.
Back in New York, the Bengals didn't wait long. Commissioner Paul Tagliabue.
With the 13th pick in the first round, the Cincinnati Bengals select linebacker from Auburn, Takeo Spikes.
Well, it's not like we're the only ones who could say we told you so, but now you talk about a middle linebacker. This is a guy that makes many a play.
It's a great inside linebacker. Came out after his junior year. You talk about Takeo Spikes. You're talking about productivity year in and year out. Look at that size, 234 pounds in the Ray Lewis mold. The great Baltimore Raven young linebacker. Speed, tenacity. Quickly reacts in the direction of the play. You know, great moves. And I think when you say getting around blockers and away from traffic, sifting through an area that's really clogged, he can do it. He can create a lot of activity with that run-stopping ability that he provides. Here against LSU, you see his ability in coverage as well. So a guy that can really do it all, reads the quarterback very well in coverage. Not to take him off the field, he can be an every down defender. And I think when you look at his ability in space to make a tackle, this is something all linebackers can't do. A lot of them struggle early in their career, it'll be a natural for Taquio's spikes. I look at Taquio, and back since really September, October, you look at that physical ability, the great speed. He runs a 4.4. He's got unbelievable strength.